Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and there's a ton of really awesome Pokemon TCG news, including some new card reveals that just happened, and so I'm going to be going over those today. But before we get into the new card reveals, we have this new product. Normally I don't cover these, but this is the Dragapult EX League Battle Deck. League Battle Decks are really good products to buy for Pokemon TCG players because they are generally relatively cheap, and also they have a whole standard deck. I have not actually looked through what's in this. Looks like it doesn't have anything rotating, which is good. This is coming out. Oh, it's coming out post rotation, so that is good. And this is featuring Dragapult EX, which is probably the best deck in the game post rotation and now as well, I think. But yeah, you get a whole deck. It's a really good product. Weirdly, because I think EXs add substantial. I don't know how much they add to the price, but I definitely think they add to the price some. And so it comes with four Dragapults, which is like kind of weird because you don't play four Dragapult EX. Um, it does have Pheasant Dipty EX, which is like really good. It plays Zadu. I mean, it's not exactly the best way to play Dragapult, in my opinion, or probably most people's opinions, but still, it's a Dragapult list here. It comes with Unfair Stamp as well, so a really good product here that if you are looking to, I don't know, I mean, it's just something to keep an eye out for, especially if you want to play Dragapult, then it is a way to get four Dragapult EXs and a bunch of stuff. And you could play this deck straight out of the box, and it's definitely decent. It's not a bad list at all. There's certainly probably some changes you'd want to make, but it is good. But with that out of the way, let's talk about, I guess these are some new cards. These are the 2024 illustration contest promos. So there was the contest last year. I think there's a lot of them, but these were the winners. So here are some cards. They're not very good, um, and I don't know exactly how you can get these. You might just only be able to get them in a special way. It looks like they are standard legal. This Feraligatr does 140 for 4 in stage 2, and on a coin flip, you're immune to damage and effects of attacks. So um, that's not that good, but it is like, I mean, I guess if you get heads every time, it's like kind of good, but obviously it's not that good. I've got this Pikachu, which heals 20 from itself, and Toxtricity EX, which does 260 for, or no, has 260 HP, does 240 for 3 in stage 1 EX, and you discard 2 from it. Again, not particularly good, but yeah, I figured I would talk about all the new cards, so these are the ones here. And you can see the I guess fan made cards as well, which is cool. Um, yeah, not too much to say about them here though, but yeah, that's cool. But then we have the new cards, and this is for the new expansion, Heatwave Arena. This will be releasing March 14th in Japan. It's a Japanese expansion. It says it will have 63 cards before secret rares, and will feature trainers Pokemon for Misty, Ethan, um, Cynthia, and Arvin. And we have a bunch of mostly Ethan's Pokemon here. We do have a few Misty's Pokemon as well. Um, and oh, okay, Ethan's Adventure is actually really interesting. And then we do have a reprint of Sacred Ash as well. Um, and Sacred Ash is a card that is actually, it's a reprint of a card not in standard. This makes sense because Energy Recycler is coming back as well. And they're like the same, the ones for Pokemon ones for basic energy, but you shuffle up to 5 Pokemon from your Disco into your deck. This card has not been in the game for a while. Yeah, it was just printed once in Flashfire, so it was certainly, I guess, it was like a good card, not like the best card or anything like that, but certainly a solid Pokemon recovery card that recovers a lot of Pokemon. So if you want to do that, it's good for that. But it's a little bit niche. But then we'll start with the Misty's Pokemon. I guess I first should say this will be coming in our second set of the year, presumably, which is the May set, which will feature Pokebeach will have cards from Heatwave Arena, which is this set. The Glory of Team Rocket, I guess, is the next set, which is going to be another Japanese set featuring Rocket's Mewtwo EX, and then also the cards from Stevens Metagross EX and Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX decks, which have Stevens and Marnie's Pokemon. I don't think we know all the cards from these, but I will say that I talked about the Stevens Metagross EX. Its ability accelerates Psychic and Metal Energy from the deck to your Pokemon. I said it was kind of like a few cards, but I didn't mention, I don't think, Archeops, which is actually very similar. So if you are looking at a card, looking for a card that's kind of like Archeops, this is similar, though cannot accelerate to colorless Pokemon. So that is a noticeable difference, but it has similarities there. And then also it's 340 HP, and the Stadium and the Stevens Care Bank mean it'll take 60 less, so it's like super tanky. A really good card, I think, that you want to keep an eye out for. There are some other, like the Mario stuff is okay, but the Steve's Metagross EX is a really cool card that I think will be a serious competitive deck. Um, certainly a top 10 deck at this point. I expect that, so wanted to mention that, but I have talked about that before. The Misty stuff that we only see two lines. We see three Pokemon. We see Misty's Magikarp, which is immune to bench damage and the effects of attacks, which is really nice, especially because it only has 30 HP. Um, Obviously, I mean, I was just talking about Dragapult. That will destroy this theoretically, but now you have your ability to protect you, which is really nice. It doesn't make it like good. I mean, the Misty's Gyarados has to be good, but the Misty's Gyarados is an interesting card here. Also, because we have Misty, we have Ethan's, Cynthia, and um, Arvin. So then uh, we will see those four trainers in the set. We'll see Stevens, Marnie's, and Rockets. So that's seven trainers. Rockets is a little different, maybe, but we're seeing more trainers in the set than we saw before. But we have not confirmed seen cards, more Ionos or Hops or Ends cards. There was a Hops Pinkerton Yax, which is a promo, which I guess is a little different. And I have no idea when that's coming, but generally we haven't seen more of these trainers play going for the same trainers, but we are seeing a bunch of new trainers in this set. So then we have Mrs. Gyarados, though, which does, for one water on stage one, you discard the top 7 cards of your deck, and it does 70 times the number of Misty's Pokemon you find there. I don't think there's Misty's support, but if there is, that Misty support would not be a that's not like a Misty's card. This Ethan's Adventure card is not an Ethan's card. I mean, it's not an Ethan's Pokemon. So it's a little weird. We don't have many Misty's Pokemon. I'm going to kind of assume you have more that are just like random cards, but assume that you have really as many as you need to fill out your deck. Like I don't actually know what Pokemon Misty uses, to be honest, but I'm gonna assume at least two more evolution or two more Pokemon. In addition to the three we have here, I feel like that's fair. If we don't, then you don't have enough, to be honest, like really at all. I guess this actually is really intended to be played with Sacred Ash as well, because you discard the top 7 cards of your deck. You want to hit some Pokemon, and it's kind of one-shot everything, right? If you hit 5, that's one-shotting everything, and that's not like absolutely absurd, but it's not super easy either, and you're probably not living. You have 180 HP, which is like good, I guess, but it's not amazing. I mean, it's not surviving Charizards or Dragapults. So Mrs. Gyarados, though, is able to do theoretically really solid damage here. But then you're able to, I guess, recover a bunch of Pokemon Sacred Ash. We also are milling random stuff from your deck, which is bad. We've seen a lot of cards in a similar vein to this. The best one I can think of, I mean, I guess Kyogre was really good. But Kyogre is like kind of different. This one is not in standard. You just cut the top 5 cards of your deck, choose 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon, and it does 50 free energy. You discard in this way to those Pokemon. And speaking of Sacred Dash, and then speaking of Energy Recycler, which is coming back, and they're kind of similar. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure Energy Recycler is for the Marnie stuff. Then you would do the thing where you reach the bottom of your deck and then use Energy Recycler, guarantee there's 5 energy in your deck, or maybe not reach exactly the bottom, but pretty close to the bottom, and be able to guarantee a good chunk of snipe damage and win the game off of that. I personally was never a massive fan of this Kyogre, but it was pretty good. But also, most cards like this are not this good. This Kyogre was a very solid card in the metagame, not like an absolutely insane one, but a pretty good one. But there's like the Groudon from the same set, which is bad. I'm pretty sure I think I've seen it played certainly, but I don't think it was seriously played. Um, and then there's like Sandaconda, which some of you may be familiar with, where you like discard a bunch of energies from the top of your deck. There are a lot of cards like this. They're unfortunately generally pretty bad, but do keep this in mind that this is a pretty common thing where there are cards like this, and they're generally pretty bad. So yeah, I don't expect much from this Misty Gyarados, but it is a playable, fun, silly deck. Um, not complete trash, but not great either. Certainly a deck where you will have serious inconsistencies, like a lot. Then we have Misty's Psyduck. This is the other Misty's Pokemon with Slapstick Jump, which says once your turn, if this Pokemon is on your bench, you may discard this. You may no, discard the bottom card of your deck, which seems like physically kind of awkward. And then if you do discard all cards attached to this Pokemon and put it on top of your deck. This is obviously the idea here is that you put Misty Psyduck on top to guarantee with Gyarados, which I guess is good. It's really weird. It's honestly one of the most bizarre abilities I've seen, just like ignoring the Misty's Gyarados thing. It's really weird. Um, Milling the bottom of your deck is like something I don't think I've ever seen before. Um, this ability I guess is good for the Gyarados. So if Mrs. Gyarados is the build around, and we have a bunch of Pokemon that like put themselves on top of your deck, that's actually pretty solid. Um, you still need to like recover it. It's weird. I don't really know what to say about this card. It's super strange. But the Misty stuff seems very silly, which kind of makes sense, especially for a Pokemon like Psyduck. But still, this is a really weird ability, really funny one. Um, Obviously really only useful for Mrs. Gyarados. You don't really want to mill the bottom of your deck. Normally, I mean, you might have some knowledge of it from like Ionos or something, but still not great. And then putting this on the top, I mean, aside from Mrs. Gyarados, you'd always want it, probably in play. But it's a solid ability, and yeah, I guess it's a pivot as well, which is like kind of cool. But whatever. That is something. But then we have the Ethan stuff. This is a bit better. This is more fire focused. So I'll first pull up Ethan's adventure, which is a supporter, which is actually really interesting. We've seen a bunch of trainers, Pokemon and trainers so far, but I believe none of them they've had trainers to support them, but they've all been like stadiums or items or tools, no actual supporters. So this is the first supporter for a trainer's Pokemon that is, actually that trainer. So we see Ethan's adventure for the Ethan's Pokemon, but you search your deck for up to 3 in any combination of Ethan's Pokemon and basic fire energy, reveal them, put them into your hand. This like doesn't seem that good. Generally, supporters that search for Pokemon aren't great. Jack has seen some play, and yeah, I can't really think of any other ones like in modern standard format that have seen play. And Jack's like not that good. It's played in Lugia, but Lugia's had this tendency to play some weirder supporters. It's kind of like Professor Burnett, and it does work well in the deck, but it's not like a normal situation. Then Card has seen play in yeah Charizard, and I'm trying to think if I guess yeah it's been in like Knocked Owl, and then that presumably with a Pidgeot I think, and potentially also Dusknoir. Not 100% sure what's in all these lists, but it's a card that you can play in some different decks, and it's okay, but it's not particularly good. Um, then we've seen stuff like Arazu, for example. Arazu's a really interesting card that like searches for a ton of Pokemon, and is not seen much play. It's seen play in Zoroark, which is a really weird deck, and then also in Lugia, like a couple of times. Apparently, someone played in Tinkaton, but yeah, these are definitely not generally the strongest cards. Looking at Japanese City Leagues, there's more decks and at a slightly lower caliber as well, so you can see it in a bit more things. And these are post rotation as well. Some of these, so um, it's definitely a card that cards that search for Pokemon can be decent supporters, but generally they're pretty niche. Getting the fire energies we'll talk about is nice to get them, but I don't think the supporter is super great. Um, I think one that you'll play some, but probably not your main supporter still. But we do have the main Pokemon here is Ethan's Ho-Oh EX, which says once during a turn you may attach up to 2 basic fire energy from your hand to one of your benched Ethan's Pokemon. Obviously that's why you want the fires in your hand. Then you can do 160 for 4 fires and you heal 50 from each of your Pokemon. Magma Basin will be well rotated by the time this comes out as well. Um, and like really all the good fire stuff. To be honest, I'm Gouging Fire is still there, but this is not powering up other fire Pokemon. It's powering up other Ethan's Pokemon that are presumably also fire. But then we have Ethan's Magcargo. This might be the main Pokemon, like the main attacker. Its ability Melt and Flow says if it has no energy attached, it has no retreat. This is actually really good. I think. Well, there's also the Ethan's Pichu, which is a baby Pokemon, which has free retreat. It does 30 for free and draws a card, which is actually like kind of good against Badoo, maybe. I don't know. It's not that good. Drawing a card is kind of mediocre, but Ethan's Pichu is not a terrible card, but it is a pivot. It only has 30 HP, but this Ethan's Magcargo does become a pivot when it evolves, assuming it has no energy, but you do want to attack with it as well, so you might want one in the active, one on the bench. Um, and then you like 2 Ethan Turbo EX, and you use your attack Lava Burst, discard up to 5 energy from this Pokemon. Not actually sure why there's a cap here, to be honest. It's kind of weird, but it does 70 for each card discarded in this way. If you discard 5, you're hitting 350, which is probably knocking everything out. Can't really think of anything it doesn't. I mentioned Ethan's Metagross EX, but that's weak to you. So maybe like Charizard EX with like Hero's Cape. I suppose you're not knocking that out, but that's not very common. So not really sure why there's a cap. Don't think it would be broken with the cap or without the cap. But regardless, you're able to do very solid damage, but you do need a lot of energy. The Ethan supporter can help you. Obviously, Superior Energy Retrieval, Earthen Vessel, things like that are played in like Goldango and decks that just want lots of energy. There is stuff like that, and you can do similar strategies here. Then there's also Ethan's Typhlosion and Ethan's Quilava. Um, Ethan's Quilava is once in your turn, you may search your deck for an Ethan's Adventure, reveal it and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. That's like okay. I mean, I don't think, as I said, I don't think the supporter is super good, but it's okay. So it's probably worth playing it some of the supporter and then some of this Ethan's Quilava, maybe like a 1/1 line or something. The stage 2 is actually really interesting here. So you might want to play 4 Ethan's Adventure for this. You Buddy Blast for 1 fire. You do 40, 60 more for each Ethan's Adventure in your discard pile. So if you have the full 4 in your discard, which you can get them out of the prizes using, I think it's like exchange ticket or something like that, the new item from Battle Partners, which can kind of get it out, but they will end up on the bottom of your deck after that, and could theoretically toss some other ones back in. But you're going to be able to do 280, which is solid. Obviously, there is always damage buffs you could add on, but presumably you probably don't have those. Um, so 280 is like good for one in a stage 2, obviously, but it definitely seems a little awkward to power up. Ethan's Quilava can help you get there, but it seems okay. And then you can't search them out once they're all in the discard. I mean, you could like Palpat them back, but that's kind of weird. Um, Overall, the Ethan stuff looks mediocre. I think the Ethan's Pichu actually could see play in different decks. I don't think it's that good, but this is a free attacker that does knock out Badoo and draws you a card, which is like nice, I guess. I mean, it's not great, but um, Badoo's a definitively good Pokemon in the metagame right now, and having it's not exactly a counter, but it's okay. So that's a meaningful card, I guess. None of these look particularly amazing to me, to be honest, but the Ethan stuff seems okay. If it gets some more support, like 1 or 2 more cards to make it a little bit better, I think it could be really good. As I said, Ethan's Adventure just seems like kind of whatever. Getting a bunch of fire Pokemon and or getting a bunch of fire energies and like a couple of Pokemon. Well, I guess you're not getting multiple of both. You're just getting 3 cards in total, so it seems okay. But again, probably just okay. Lady is rotating, but like Lady gets 4 energies and doesn't really see any play. I mean, it's played from time to time, but it's pretty rare. And it's no medium, where with Goldango, I mean, it's theoretically like a plus 200 damage, and it's not played. Um, so I mean, it's just played a little in Goldango. I've definitely seen it, but it's not commonly played. And Ethan's Adventure, I think, is worse. But overall, I think there's some cool stuff here. I think it's a little weak, to be honest. I mentioned Stevens. I do believe that is the best of those 4 we've seen so far. And Marnie's might be the second best. I'm not really sure, to be honest. The other 3 all look kind of mediocre to a little underwhelming, but not terrible. But tell me down below in the comments what you're most excited for of these cards. And as I said, the new product is actually really cool as well, and something that if you are a player of the game, I'd recommend you pick up. It's a nice product if you don't have the stuff. Um, Apparently, there's also Lily's premium collection. We can get this, which is different than this. Wow, those are really similar. And Lily's is I guess also good. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Consider liking, subscribing, hitting the bell, sharing the video, joining the channel, all that good stuff. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video.